evolution has changed us. You look at things like the Ice Age, where in geological time it was literally overnight that the Ice Age hit, and literally overnight, hundreds of thousands of species went extinct, and other, hundreds of thousands of species adapted almost immediately, in very strange and curious ways. They adapted to their environment, and so I started thinking about, well, are we at one of those phases now where the world is changing and changing rapidly, and can we as a species adapt to it? And it sort of led me to the idea of, what if there were those among us who had adapted, or were representing the next evolutionary rung. I also sort of like the idea of placing a kind of superhero idea on evolution as opposed to a supernatural occurrence, falling into a vat of radioactive material, or getting bit by a radioactive spider. If I'm going to posit this show as taking place in the real world, and that these people are ordinary people, sometimes hyper-ordinary, very, very ordinary people, albeit more attractive than most of us, but that's just the nature of television. But still, they're meant to be very ordinary people. And so if I was going to sell this package that this was happening in the real world, it felt like I wanted to anchor it in something that had at least a quasi-scientific anchor to it. The comic book aspects of it are really just the vehicle of telling the story. Thematically, I was much more interested in making a statement about interconnectivity and about the importance of the world being much smaller than we, especially in America, have always thought about it. I think in a lot of ways, this Heroes is very much a product of a post 9/11 world, where I think we woke up one day and realized that the world was much smaller than we had thought, that what happens 10,000 miles away really does affect us, and that we all are kind of connected to one another. And I think a lot of where Heroes came from was my trying to wrestle with this feeling that I think most people are feeling nowadays, that something is out of whack in the world, and there's a kind of vibration that all of us are feeling, that something's got to give. And I think between global warming and terrorism and diminishing resources, we're all feeling that there's something out of balance. And so Heroes is a kind of wish fulfillment that we as a species could actually rise to the occasion to do something about these big global issues.